Husband 36M obsessed with sex with spouse 34NB. Hello. First time posting in this sub, and hopefully some people can help me proceed. My husband 36M and I 34NB have been married for what will be 4 years this October. We have dated since 2014, so we've been together 11 years and married about 3.5. When I first met my husband, he was a virgin and didn't tell me this until after our first sexual encounter, which made me unhappy because I try to avoid sleeping with virgins due to bad obsessive experiences in the past. My fears have now become my reality. We proceed though, and continue dating, and in the early days we had sex every so often, maybe 2 to 3 times a week. I'm mentally ill, diagnosed with bipolar disorder, PTSD, ADHD, and substance abuse disorder, and I've recently gotten treatment for my conditions with psychotropic medications. Some of my medications decrease my libido, so my interest in sex has decreased significantly recently. I've tried explaining this to my husband, but he is stubborn and self-absorbed, so he constantly processes my lack of desire to have sex as a rejection of him. It was gradual at first, him trying to push me to have sex with him, and then it became where it is today, where nearly every time we interact, he's trying to have sex with me. We don't really have a whole lot of sexual chemistry because he's generally a lazy and uninvolved lover, more concerned with his satisfaction than mine. So his lack of experience coupled with his inability to meet my sexual needs multiplied with my decreased libido means we don't really have sex very often. The more he tries, the more I push away. I'm a little bit oppositional, so when somebody is trying to make me do something, I resist even harder. I currently feel cornered because I'm not just a sex object, but that's all he thinks about, that's all he wants, and I truly think that's all he sees me for. It's depressing. I've helped this man build his career. I push him into home ownership. I've helped to build every inch of his adult life because he has no confidence and low self-esteem and doesn't go after things himself. I've tried telling him that I'm not in the mood for sex right before bed or after I've eaten, and he persists. When I do occasionally want to have sex, which is usually after I get home from work, he's still working and won't pay me any attention. It has to be when he wants it and no time else. Last night really informed me that he has a problem. He was rushing me to go get dinner because he had to go to bed for work travel in the morning. Then, after he's eaten and gotten ready for the next day, he's in my face touching on me and kissing on me and trying to make me have sex with him. It makes me uncomfortable because I don't really like being touched, and I've already told him I don't want to have sex right before I go to bed, but what further agitated me is that earlier he was rushing me and disturbing my evening because he needs to go to bed early, and here it is almost midnight, and he's got time to have sex now? So when I rejected him again and told him to go to bed because I was irritated that he rushed me earlier, but now as time he starts guilt-tripping me and gaslighting me, telling me, there's never a good time with you. You don't want me. Maybe if I lose weight you'll be attracted to me. This is so incredibly manipulative. I've slept with men 3 times his size. His weight has nothing to do with it, but because of his low self-esteem he projects that onto me. I would like to get back to a place where we can occasionally have sex because I do enjoy sexy time, but I don't have a desire for sex every single day or multiple times a day, and I feel incredibly disrespected as his spouse because I think he only sees me as a sexual outlet, and that's not what I got married for. He's not entitled to my body. We're also in an open marriage, and he refuses to have sex with other men to satisfy his insatiable appetite. How do I confront him about his sex obsession and tell him that I want him to stop trying to physically pressure me into having sex with him every single time we interact? I've come home from a hard day at work, and my head hurts, and I want to lay down, and he's rubbing on me and trying to get me to have sex with him. He uses my body's physical response to gaslight me into consenting. See, you want it. See, you're turned on. He lacks sexual discipline, IMO. He's stubborn and obstinate and borderline emotionally abusive. So I honestly think that divorcing him might be the best option, but I would like to see him get help and figure out why sex is such an important motivation for him. More so than quality time and acts of service. It's like he doesn't want to be around me unless he can have sex with me, and it just feels really unfair to constantly be pushed into a corner where I'm always the bad guy for rejecting his pushy advances, or I have to have sex against my wishes, which is assault. TW. Rape. He has already physically forced me to have sex with him, and I don't want to be in that situation again. I want him, but I don't know how to communicate to him that his insistence on sex always every time we interact is not sustainable and not what I want from my marriage. He makes excuses and refuses couples therapy, so I really don't know what to do at this point other than tell him I want to legally separate and be away from him. TLDR, Husband has limited sexual experience, but is obsessed with sex and tries to pressure me physically and emotionally to have sex every time we interact. How do I communicate to him that this behavior is abusive and needs to stop?